Evening everybody, and welcome to this week's Scan Pro Audio webcast. It's a strange one for us this week because it's the last that you'll see in this particular format. I'll say a little about that in a second. We have the very delightful Edwards from Korg with us, and he's going to take you through some synth mystery. I'll say a little word about why this is going to be different. The next time you see us, we'll have a different format. We're going to try and produce a magazine type featuring some news from around the pro audio sort of world. We'll still have overviews. We'll still have all the things that you've come to expect from us, but it will be in a slightly more, dare I say, structured sort of order. We'll probably try and make it about half an hour long, and then after that we'll go into the what we call the Big Brother after section, where like X Factor and programs like that do, we have an extra program where we can have the chat room and ask questions and things. But without further ado, we have this week with us Luke, who is going to talk to you about this. And if you look, Luke from Korg is going to be talking about something that doesn't have Korg written on it. What's happened? Has he defected? Has he run away? All will be revealed after this.
Hello everyone, Luke from Korg here, and I'm talking about not the Korg Odyssey but the ARP Odyssey. This is Korg's recreation of the original ARP Odyssey in collaboration with David Friend from ARP, and we've actually just reissued it basically in slightly smaller form, 86% of the size. There's 3 editions of it. This is the 3rd revision. There's 2 other revisions as well which are limited edition, so we thought we'd show you this one today. It is a reissue, as I said, of the original analog Odyssey with a few little additions. So for instance, on the back here we've added a headphone out. We've obviously got now MIDI and USB as well, which weren't, those protocols didn't even exist back in 1972 when it was first issued. We've also added a drive switch at the request of David Friend as well, and we've also given you access to all 3 of the original filters, so you can really recreate any kind of iterations of the ARP Odyssey that you want to on there. You've got a 37-note keyboard, and we've also remodeled the front of it so the keys don't overhang the kind of a gap, so you're likely to kind of catch the keys and damage it in transit and stuff like that. But essentially, it is an ARP Odyssey, and it looks like one, and it's certainly one. So I'll just give you a little tour of the panel first of all. So it's a great way for anyone who wants to get into synthesis to learn about the signal flow of subtractive synthesis in general. We've got our 2 oscillators, which are here. We've got a filter up here, a low-pass filter, and also a high-pass filter. We've got a little mixer here, so we can mix between the different oscillators and noise if we want. We've got an LFO, and then on the end of the signal path you've got your envelope generator. You've actually got 2 envelope generators on here, your main ADSR, and then a separate one which we can use. And so I'll go through all that in detail. Over on the left, we've got the performance controls. So instead of a pitch bend mod wheel, you've got these really neat rubberized pads which are very expressive to modulate the pitch, add vibrato if you want to, or modulation. And you've also got portamento control, plus you can switch the octave here. So let's have a listen. I'm going to just listen first of all to just one oscillator, and this is a saw wave. So I can manipulate that using this section here. So I'm listening to a saw wave, as I said. I can change the pitch of it, either the coarse or the fine tuning. Do it in great amounts, tiny little amounts, and then down the bottom here I can start manipulating the pitch of this oscillator. So for instance, I can add some frequency modulation. So the amount that I use here is the changing. You can also use your controller here to do that. So this is linked to the LFO here. So the frequency of the LFO has been mirrored here. So if I want it to move slowly or quickly, I can change it. I can also send the oscillator to the sample and hold generator as well. So I can get a randomized pitch generator. And again, the rate of that is specified by the LFO. I can also send the pitch to the ADSR as well, so I can get a pitch envelope. So I can get a glide up to a note if I need to do that as well. So lots of scope. Okay, so that was a saw wave. I can also select a square wave on VCO1 by doing that. So that's a pure square wave you're hearing. I can add pulse width, which basically is the shape of that square wave from a pure square down to a small square wave. So you get that kind of effect. Plus you can modulate that as well. Again, the speed of the LFO determines that. Back to your pure square wave. So as you can see, lots of ways that you can manipulate the oscillators. Oscillator 2 acts in a very similar way. So let's bring that up as well, so we can hear both together. Instantly you've got a much fatter sound because obviously you've got two oscillators layered together. This is called a duophonic synth, which means you can play two oscillators together, or you can play two different notes and it will pick those up. Whereas if I played just a single note, then it will play those two oscillators in unison. Of course, I can tune the second oscillator because at the moment it's slightly detuned against the first one. I can make it perfectly in tune like that, so it's a kind of purer sound. And I've got all the same controls as I had for oscillator 1, so I can frequency modulate it, I can send it to the sample and hold, I can send it to the envelope as well. What's nice about using the coarse tune is that you can then interesting intervals on the go. So playing fifths, or octaves if you want to stack it that way. You also have a sync switch. So what that does, instead of the saw waves in this case kind of beating against each other, like that, you can sync them together. So you get them playing completely in unison, so they're synced completely together. And then we can do some really cool kind of sync modding. You can use the frequency modulation of the second oscillator, change the tuning. That classic sync waveform. So it's really nice to have that on board as well. So let's turn the sync off, back to where we were. So let's move over to the filter section. So we've got a low pass filter and a high pass filter. So we've got a frequency and a resonance control. So we can shape the sound just how we want it. Add some resonance in for a bit more of a squelchy sound. You've got 3 types of filter as well, as I said, the 3 Odyssey filter types, and they're all quite different. So they all have their own character. The first one, quite beefy. Second one, it's a minus 24 dB filter, and then the third one is a kind of higher resonant filter as well. So the thresholds for the filter are set in different positions, as you can hear through as I'm switching through. Another great thing about this filter is it will completely, because of course it's analog, it will self-oscillate. So if I put the resonance all the way up, I can then turn off the oscillators, play the filter itself, but you have this neat fader down here where you can up, and it's already set to keyboard CV, which basically means I can play the filter itself from the keyboard. And then of course you can still bring in your other oscillators as well. So it's effectively giving you a sine wave over the top of the other, which you can then, if you want to, tune to the same pitch. So it can effectively give you another oscillator, which is a really neat kind of addition. Let's bring the oscillators back. So as well as your 2 oscillators giving you a saw wave or a square wave, plus your sine wave from your resonant filter, you've also got a noise generator, and that's on this fader here. So I can bring in the noise, and the noise generator sound is set here. So it can either have pink noise or white noise. So it's on pink noise at the moment. So I can adjust the level of that. I can change it to white noise. So it's great for adding kind of a little bit of percussion into your sound, or a little bit of bite, raspiness. But you can also use it alone, of course, and make sounds out of it. So you've got your white noise. You can then start shaping it using the envelope. So you can change the release, for example, or change it into a kind of percussion sound, like a hi-hat sound or something, or even a snare. So that's really nice to be able to have access to do that as well. So that's the noise generator. What's really nice is the fact you've got, as well as your low pass filter, a high pass filter as well. So you can take out all the lows should you need to. You can also use it in conjunction with the low pass filter as well. So you can effectively use it like a bandpass filter in that case. You can kind of sculpt out a little frequency range. Next to a filter, you've got your LFO. So low frequency oscillator, great way to add some motion to your sound. We've already looked at some of the destinations, so you can send it to sample, that's called frequency modulation. So if I transpose up a little bit, you can bring it in and out like that, or with the control here, which is quite a nice way of doing it, especially in a performance context. So you can send it there, but you can also send it to the filter. So the way that you do that, let's bring back a second oscillator again. All I need to do is bring up the fader here, switch this to LFO. And I've got my kind of wobble to the sound if I need it. Change the rate. So you can use it for stuff like sound effects, or a lower rate than more of a kind of musical, rhythmic kind of effect. You can also send a filter to the sample and hold, which is this area here. So this is more of a randomized filter manipulation then. So just switch it there. So you can hear it opening and closing the filter, but in a completely randomised way using the sample and hold. Or if I go back to LFO, you can hear it's much more controlled. Or I can just go back to it as I was before. We've also got over this side our envelopes. So manipulate the sound, and not just that, but the way it reacts when I play the keys. So at the moment we've got our ADSR, which is here: attack, decay, sustain, and release. And that at the moment is set to kind of regular immediate attack, decay and sustain on full, and release on 0 as well. And what that means is when I play a note, you get that immediate attack. It'll sustain indefinitely until I release the key, and then it'll just stop dead. So that's what you've been hearing so far. But of course, very easily I can manipulate that. So I could have a slower attack. So the sound comes in a little bit slower. I can have a slower release. So already we're starting to get a little bit of a different character to the sound. With a slower release. Or you can shape the sound in a different way. So I could take the sustain right down, the decay right down. So you get that kind of clipped staccato type sound. Even though I'm leaving my finger on the keyboard, it's still stopping dead. An LFO repeat function as well, which is great for this kind of thing. Using the LFO, you can like a mini arpeggiator. You've got auto repeat, which means it will just carry on playing. I can shape the sound while it's playing. Or just turn it off if I don't need it. There's a second envelope as well with a simpler kind of layout. It's just attack and release, but this is really useful for instance, if you wanted to send the filter to a different envelope to the sound itself. So let's lose the second oscillator. We've got that sound there, but we want to send a filter to this envelope. So what we do is set the filter a little bit, and using this fader here, I can specify the sent to this envelope because it's on AR, not ADSR. Then I can say, okay, let's have a little bit of attack to the filter. So the filter, the sound is set to this envelope, but the filter develops over time using this kind of envelope here. So you get that kind of wah sound. And the higher the attack I have, the longer it takes to open the filter. And what's nice is that I can just flick that effect on and off as I need it. I can just bring it in and out. or you can have something a bit subtler. Less of a send there on the fader. So that's the way the synth works. This is a volume control, by the way, here. So this is the VCA, the voltage controlled amplifier. So it doesn't have a traditional volume control as such. You just specify the output using this fader, just like you would have done on old. Over this side, as I said, you've got your performance control. So once you've kind of got your sound as you want it, you can start manipulating it here with this proportional pitch control. There's 3 pads. But what's nice is they're very responsive, so you can really kind of dig in. And it's very expressive once you get used to that touch to obviously using a pitch bend mod wheel or a pitch and a separate mod wheel, but it's really, really organic to play it. Of course, you can switch the octave as well. There, so you can go 2 octaves either way. So even though you've only got the 37 notes here, massive range that you can. Plus you've got MIDI in, so you can connect any keyboard to it if you want the full kind of piano range, should you want to do that. You've also got portamento, so you can add some glide between notes. So this is the time it takes to get from one note to another when you play legato. So you can have something extreme like that or something quite subtle. So just as that nice little glide between notes. That's the portamento. Connections wise on the back outputs, which is really useful, especially for what we're doing today. I'm using the low impedance output to go to my monitor, and then we're sending the signal to you via the high impedance XLR out. You've also got a headphone, which is an addition from the original Odyssey with its own little volume control. All these nice little mini jacks on the back are CV gate and trigger, so they're old school analog connections, so you can connect to any analog equipment very easily. You've got also an external input, so you can plug in any audio source. That could be a phone, it could be a laptop, it could be a pair of decks, it could be a CD player, literally another keyboard, anything at all. Feed that audio in and then start manipulating that audio with all of these amazing controls which I've been showing you. You've also got 2 pedal inputs. One is for expression, and the other one is a pedal control, so you can kind of assign that. And then you've got USB and MIDI as well, so you can get into the digital domain quite easily via one of those. And then of course just the power supply. So yeah, that's the ARP Odyssey. Thanks for listening.
Kansas, Genesis, Herbie Hancock, Buggles, ABBA, Depeche Mode. I'm just there for all of them. Beautiful little thing. So thank you to Luke for that. As usual, we have a special word that in the webcast can email to us, and we will possibly email you back with some discount ideas. In this case, I think the word is going to be yesidopra. 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 Email that to us at info@scan. No, says Tom, not info. Webinar@scan.co.uk. And we shall send you back with all manner of wonderfulness. But in the meantime, as I said, this is the last time you'll see us in this form. Thank you very much to Luke from Korg for coming over and doing this. Thank you for watching. The next time you see us, it will be in a completely different virtual environment. Until then, we look forward to seeing you. Thank you for watching. Bye.